Hi, my name's Eve Roberts. I'm the EDI officer here at Surrey FA. The reason why I got into equality, diversity, inclusion, not only from my education, but also kind of stemmed from my lived experiences as a disabled person. So I was diagnosed with cerebral palsy from birth, and since then have had a handful of several operations, some quite severe, and because of that, I really struggled with kind of really getting to grips with my disability, really understanding it and really just being confident in who I was, because at the end of the day, because of the operations, my ability was constantly changing. I was left quite confused. So taking that into an educational setting, going through school, particularly transitioning into secondary school, I really struggled with the PE side of things and the sport of activity side of things, just because to me, it highlighted my weaknesses. So I was probably that student that every sort of teacher hated, where I wrote notes, I tried to hide my kit, I gave my kit away, I bunked lessons. Probably not the best advice now, however, I think that's how I felt to try and get away from the situation was best. Because of that, a lady came to visit me at school to fit ramps, etc. And she kind of pulled me to one side and said, "You look really physically active. Would you potentially be interested in coming down to a local wheelchair basketball club?" And I hadn't really thought of the idea before. I thought I hadn't really been involved in sport at all. But I went along anyway, with a bit of encouragement from my parents for sure. But I went along and I absolutely loved it. It turned out her daughter was a Paralympian and she really helped me through the whole process. People's attitudes were incredible. It really gave disability kind of a new lease of life, and it allowed me to see my strengths as a person but also as an athlete, and I think that's why sport is so incredible. It builds people holistically, and that's what it did for me. It gave me the right differentiation, the right equipment, friends and inclusive programme choice, which ultimately changed my life because I'm sat here now in the position that I'm in. And as I grew within the sport, I actually ended up getting selected for the GB Women's Under-25s wheelchair basketball programme, and then trained centrally with the senior team up until their process to Rio, which was an incredible experience and I learned a lot. And as I was kind of going up in the sport, I realised people were asking me questions, so I thought, how best could I really dig into this a bit more and help people that were in my position? And that's currently why I'm sat here, is because I really want to help people that are in my position or in an underrepresented group to really get involved in sport and ultimately not only make it inclusive for underrepresented groups or those with a disability, but ultimately to make it inclusive for all, because that's our sole aim, is to make football accessible for everybody. Luckily for me, the job at Surrey FA came up and I jumped to the chance to apply because it kind of fitted what I wanted to do, and it was a next stage in my career for me. Since starting my role as Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Officer, I've had lots of responsibilities. One of those has been taking a lead with the disability pathways. A lot of that has priority-wise has been getting them back on the grass after COVID. I think getting people back playing has been a major priority here at Surrey FA, just making sure everybody's keen to get back on, but also feeling safe as well. I also kind of come up with initiatives for underrepresented groups and those with a disability, but also make sure that our initiatives are inclusive as a whole across the organisation, because ultimately all of our initiatives should be inclusive. So that's where the majority of work goes. However, as well as operational responsibilities, I also have functional responsibilities, and that is making sure the organisation itself is inclusive by going through our equality standard. So we're currently going through our intermediate application and we will be aiming for our advanced. Since starting at Surrey FA, I've really helped aid a power chair provision become set up in Surrey, and the participants are really excited to get playing. But yeah, I've enjoyed it so far. I've met our IAG, so our IAG meet bi-monthly, and they're great because I can't necessarily learn every minority group and every person in Surrey, but what they do is they bring their expertise in to help me come up with work that is going to better represent Surrey and to overall be more inclusive, because that's our main aim. It's now my passion to transform sport, and in particular football, and I can't wait to continue the crucial work that I'm doing in and around Surrey.